Now on Radio 4's Any Questions, the questions often begin, what do the team think? As the team is bigger than most rugby teams here, you can't ask that because, so either I'll direct them to an individual or a couple of people, or if you would, can we start there, please, with the lady? How many microphones do we have out there? Just one, unless you take that one. And then we can get three more, so if you have someone ready, and then we'll start there.
Thank you, Mark. I think this is probably a question for the writers, and continuing this issue about women and the fact that you said you wanted to make a positive series. Didn't you, in a way, lose the opportunity to show a man, the Prime Minister's husband, coping with the fact that his wife was powerful and that he was taking a back seat? And instead, in this case, you know, he had to have sex with another woman in order to confirm his identity in a way and leave her. And so was that a lost opportunity in terms of a positive role model in this struggle for women and men in the working world?
Perhaps it was a lost opportunity, but I think it was a very realistic one, because one thing that most men do not have is stamina when it comes to relationships. So we discussed it a lot, but I mean he is the dream husband to begin with, and he copes as long as he is able to. But she also accuses him in a scene I really like, in I think it's episode 20, when she said, "You quit. You quit so early. I mean, I just become prime minister. What do you think, you big idiot?" But some men are idiots.
I think basically we are idealists when it comes to politics and democracy, but not when it comes to home life.
So I think we've got some, and if we could keep getting the microphone, we've got another person there, so I'll take that one there and then at the back. So yes, over here.
Hi. Yes, I think my observation come question neatly picks up there, actually, and it's based on also something that Jesper W said, sorry, my pronunciation is rubbish, said yesterday. Just to say that watching the episode today, I've watched that, it's the third time I've watched it, and that hit my emotional button even more. So there is no deterioration in the fact that I'm meeting people who are involved in making the programme, and also watching it again. But my key question is, it's the sex question, why did you make her, in the vernacular, shag the chauffeur? Because seriously, a woman of her integrity wouldn't have done it. And she also told us that she didn't agree with it either yesterday.
Okay, Adam, shagging the chauffeur.
Well, some women do shag chauffeurs. No. Well, she was very miserable. She was very lonely. She was disturbed. She was a bit drunk, and it was just that fatal night. And I mean, we did a lot of research.
Among chauffeurs.
Among chauffeurs and female prime ministers. And you would be astonished.
The lady at the back, please.
Hi,
yeah.
My name is Beth, and I'm a politician in the National Assembly for Wales, and one of you has come to speak to us previously. I'd just like to give a pitch for us not talking about British politics as if it's one-dimensional. We've had coalition politics in Wales for the last 10 years, and women are two leaders of political parties in our country, and I think that's something that we should therefore be proud of. And I would just ask the lady there that was saying why we can't have discussions about politics in a way that doesn't undermine politicians, because we're not all corrupt. We didn't have the scandals in Wales that they have in the UK government. And I enjoy Borgen so much for us talking about asylum issues, talking about issues in Africa and United Nations. Can we please have some drama over here that just doesn't make us all corrupt and make us all look as if we're out for ourselves? Thank you very much.
But it's only 10 years, you see, so you see, who knows what may happen later on. Anyone want to say anything on that? No, question over Yeah. And can we get that mic over there? Yeah, so we'll take there and then over.
I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person in the room who's a struggling writer, and I've been trying to get a political drama pitched off the ground for a few years with my writing partner. And one of the feedbacks, the feedback that comes back to us all the time is that we're looking for things with a broader appeal, and that this is too niche, despite the evidence to the contrary. It's on screen all the time with things like Borgen. Would any of the people here like to give me any hints or advice for when I'm pitching and how I can pitch something that's more specific and make it a broader appeal at the same time? Or should I just stick to my guns?
Paula.
First of all, yes, stick to your guns. But a trick that I started to deploy quite early in writing about politics, and that's not just about party politics, is to take a big kind of emotional engine and disguise it initially in that. So I wrote something some years ago called De Kinder, which was ostensibly a marital kidnap. But as she went on this journey to Germany, her husband was German, to find her children, she discovered to be part of the Bader-Meinhofs. And so it allowed her to look at, for the first time, she was political ingenue with the audience, at what actually all that meant. And you could look at the utopia of the Green Party and the Red Army faction, and how those two political dynamics affected 1968 and the early 70s in Europe. But what people remember about it, if you ask people at the BBC or whatever, they say, oh, that was so heartbreaking, the marital kidnap part. So that would be my tip. And the same with the politician's wife and husband, is wrap it up in something, gift wrap it in some with a big narrative beating heart of an engine.
Kath.
Yeah, I was just going to say something quite similar, actually. I think that sort of Trojan horse approach with broadcasters is the way to go, I think, because if there's an idea that you're doing, I think they're terrified. There's a fear about things that are worthy. And so I think politics is dangerous because, it's perceived to be dangerous because it's perceived to be worthy. It's a bit like if you try and do something like music, I find the same problem occurs. They're terrified of being out of touch or it being out of date or something. So I think that exactly like Paula says, or actually the ambition that Adam was talking about going, we want to do this well because it hasn't been done like this before. And I think that when I did a series called The Cops with Tony Gardner a few years ago on BBC Two, he wanted to make a show about social workers, and he knew he couldn't get it away. So he made a police drama that was about exactly what he wanted to make it about. So I think there's something about exactly that, having the show that you know that you want to make, that you think you haven't seen before, inside something, and the two work together.
Exactly that. I interviewed Tony Garner recently, and he said that in those shows, Cops and Cardiac Arrest and others, he knew the show they wanted, but he would get his message within it, and I thought that was good advice. Over there, yes, as someone with the microphone, and then if we can get the microphone round to the lady, that one in a moment, and also if anyone over there is ready.
Oh, hi. I went to a talk, very similar one, about politics and women, and one of the things they said was there was two shows that were very interesting. One was Commander-in-Chief, about a female president in America, and when they did some polling, they realised that people felt that women could be presidents after watching that show. And one of the things that we talked about was, do the team at Borgen take credit for the first female states minister? And I suppose the question for Paula, Politician's husband was amazing. Do you think that positive views and more three-dimensional views of women politicians is good for bringing more women into politics? Thank you.
Well, we'll put that Adam or Paula, both, one in turn. Adam. Paula, you go first. But actually, they cancelled Commander-in-Chief, didn't they, to my horror?
Did they? Yeah. I don't quite understand the last part of your question. Sorry. Do you think three-dimensional views of women in politics brings more women into politics? Yes, definitely it would help. It would have to help. I mean, I think that everything Adam was saying about Borgen and the reason to write about a woman, and I mean, I did find out in researching a lot of the political shows I've done, exactly as Adam says, people don't on the whole go into politics, you know, for the money and so on. They go in because they do want to change things. And then things happen on the way and on the journey. And it becomes really a process of trying to reflect that. And because it's tougher for women for all the reasons above that we've talked about, perhaps they are more aspirational, and it could be a real example, you know. It's just getting them to listen, as Kath said.
And Adam, are you responsible?
Yes. No, we cannot in any way take credit for that, even though we've been asked that question a lot of times. But no, Helle Thorning-Schmidt, the current PM in Denmark, she was, at the time we began writing the series, she was chairman of the Social Democratic Party. And the chairman of the Social Democratic Party is always a candidate for the Prime Minister's office in Denmark. So we cannot take credit for that. But they did actually do a survey on Borgen and the viewers of Borgen, which was quite interesting because, as I said before, we've been accused mostly from the extreme right to be very leftish in our views. So they did a survey on the viewers of Borgen if they were moved party politically from watching the series. And actually, the survey came out with the answer, no, they've not been moved party politically, but their general interest in politics has gone up. So we were very proud of that anyway.
But also, fiction is very often just ahead of the curve, isn't it? Because it is acknowledged that the Jimmy Smits character in The West Wing was based on a then almost unknown Barack Obama, but they had heard of him and indeed read his speeches. So it does often happen in that way. Yes, over there.
Paula Milne earlier made a very fleeting reference to the controversy over the anal rape scene in The Politician's Husband, and I'd just be very interested to hear your response to that. As a viewer, I think it wasn't, for me personally, it wasn't so much the fact of the rape, which one could understand, but perhaps the initial response of the politician to what had happened. But I'd be very interested to hear what you say to that.
Well, this also touches on what Adam was talking about in Borgen, where the husband leaves. The politician's husband is about power, and when the dynamic of power shifts from him to her in a marriage, it inevitably would show itself up and manifest in the bedroom. And having sort of thought that through, I thought, well, how far do you go with that? You know, how far is his disempowerment and his political impotency and the fact he's turned into a sideshow, how far would it come about? And I mean, one of the more brutal moments in it was, you know, when he spits on his hand, and the purpose of that was to show that it was not premeditated, that it came out of the moment. And what I was very clear about was that we had to follow him. The trajectory of that scene was from him. You didn't see actually that much, but you saw him as it was happening, his face, and then you followed him to sit on the stairs and cry. And that was pivotal, because normally in that kind of thing you follow the victim. But in a sense he also was the victim, because once you have behaved as shabbily as that, then you have no longer any illusions about yourself. And that became the dramatic turning point, the axis, because after that he started to behave extremely badly politically.
But Paula, this has now come up 3 times in this discussion about 2 characters in Borgen and a sexual encounter. That one, it comes up a lot in drama, doesn't it? Is whether drama cannot be about people behaving as they ideally should. I mean, behaving in the best way. It's often about people behaving in the worst way.
Well, I think that's right. And I think that when we write about women, when we talk about women, it reminds me of the kind of early conversations about race. You know, that they always had to be nice because you weren't allowed to write about a sort of morally ambivalent black guy or black woman. And although it is important to, pursuant to the point that was made before about, you know, aspirational women going into politics and all that's great, but in The Politician's Husband, she was quite morally ambivalent herself. And I think that's equally truthful. That you know, what you saw was what the price that they paid for being politicians to some extent, and do we ask too much of them? Do we expect too much?
I think we can do 2 very quick questions. I think there's one over there, isn't there? And then you'll have to sort it out. Oh, there's someone over there, yes. Okay, there's one there, okay.
I thought it was interesting what you said about it being influenced by The West Wing, both kind of cynical political dramas a bit, but also with a good heart. But they're also quite liberal. The politicians in them are quite liberal. I was wondering whether you thought there could ever be a right-wing politician with a good heart in a drama that people would warm to.
You talking to me or Adam?
Whoever wants to take this one.
Yes, but I'm not going to write it.
Although, Paula, I don't know if you want to say anything. Well, no, because Adam is collaborating with Lord Dobbs, Michael Dobbs, on a drama. played by the late Ian Richardson, Francis Urquhart was, although fantastically right-wing, was a much-loved character, wasn't he? Although very evil. Yeah.
In the Politician's Wife, that was about the Tories. At that time, this was mid to late 90s, I think, if memory serves. And at that time, there were some political dramas going out on the British television, which weren't satirical so much as so blatantly issue and left-wing led, though they were magnificent, I have to say, that they were really singing to the chorus line that they already had converted. In writing about Tories, I decided not to do a sort of caricature approach, but to treat them as characters and to show that their policies were deeply held, and that's what made them dangerous. So I think that's how I would write it if I was going to.
Okay, has anyone got the last question ready? Has someone got a microphone?
Got a mic.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
got a microphone. Just want to say thank you for Borgen, because it's amazing. And my question goes to Lars, which was, what was your favourite scene in which you starred? And what was your favourite scene in which you were not starring?
And if there is someone who's got a microphone, I'll take that one, but after that, that will be the last. Yes, Lars.
I can't remember it, really. My favourite scene...
That'll be fyret.
When it was fired. Oh, yes, when it was fired, that's right. That was a good scene. And the scene in Africa was a good scene, too, because we were in Africa. But that's right. The scene where I was, and when I was dying, I love that too. Nearly dying, I love that too. It was well written and a good director, as far as I can't remember. It was not you, no.
Did you direct that? Oh, look, go on. You tell us the scenes he wasn't very good in.
I think all scenes was very good.
Okay, and there is someone with a microphone. Yeah. Okay, this is the last question.
Not working. There we go, sorry. So it's interesting you mentioned Yes, Prime Minister, because Simon Williams, the British actor, appeared in an adaptation of that, and he said, this isn't standard TV writing, it's like Molière. And I'm there watching Borgen, I'm thinking, this is like watching Shakespearean drama or reading War and Peace. A bit of excess flattery, but the question is, to what extent is Borgen and Danish drama influenced by classical drama and literature?
Yes. One of you, do you want to take that one? Yeah.
Very much, I would say, yeah, and we agree. I mean, we love the classics, we love Shakespeare. We read the classics, and I think you cannot write a show about power without enjoying Shakespeare. And I mean, I think if Shakespeare was alive today, he would probably be working on some great TV series.
Okay, the main difference between Shakespeare, Molière and Adam is that Adam was a much better cook, we think, and we're off to enjoy his Danish delicacies now. So thank you very much to all of our panel. I won't name them one after one, and to all of you.